I don't know whether you've noticed, but petrol and diesel are actually running out. To find out what would replace them, I went to a tiny, weeny little island in the middle of the Pacific, a kind of automotive Jurassic Park.
We're on our way to the future. It takes 2 days and 3 planes to get there. You fly to Tokyo, turn right, and pass over the base of the Japanese space program. The destination? Yakushima Island. This place is like a little planet, containing every sort of terrain and every sort of weather. There's a fierce wind, a salty atmosphere, and up to an incredible 10 meters of rainfall a year. There are trees here more than 7,000 years old, home to Yakuzaru monkeys and not much else.
And all of those factors make it the perfect place to test the car of the future. And the car of the future is a funny little blue thing.
This is a Honda FCX, and actually the futuristic bit is what's under the bonnet. No internal combustion engine here. Instead, there's a thing called a fuel cell, which doesn't run on petrol or diesel, but hydrogen. And rather than chucking out CO2 or particulates, the only emission is water.
Fuel cells were actually invented by a Welshman in the 1840s, but it's taken up until now to produce a system in which the hydrogen itself is produced with zero emissions. Here's how it works.
The answer lies deep in the bowels of the island, in what could easily be mistaken for a Bond villain's lair. In actual fact, this is a hydroelectric power station, and this turbine is essentially Yakushima's drive shaft. The enormous rainfall levels are enough to generate a colossal 1,200 gigawatt hours of power.
Except there's actually not that many people on the island, and they only use about 30% of the electricity they produce. Now, you can't keep electricity on shelves, so they decided to put the excess to good use.
They use the leftover electricity to zap water in a process known as electrolysis, splitting H2O into its constituent parts of hydrogen and oxygen. And the hydrogen is put into a tank at a filling station,
which you then use to fill up your car. Now, if I'd just like to demonstrate for you here, first you have to take this earth lead, which looks a bit like a set of jump leads, but the other way around, and clip it on here to prevent any nasty static electricity setting fire to anything. And then you take the hydrogen refueler, big lock off, plonk it onto there, lock that down. Right, now that's running, and that takes about 3 minutes to fill the hydrogen tank. Let me explain how that works. Now, handily, there's a great big drawing down the side of the car to help me explain. Here's the hydrogen tank, and hydrogen gets forced through the fuel cell when it's combined with air, and it produces two things. The first being electricity, which goes to the front to power the electric motor, makes the car go, and the second comes out the back. Here is water.
If you think CO2 from cars is turning the world into a greenhouse, then I'm sure you'll be delighted to hear that. Honda have been testing the FCX on this big island laboratory for 2 years to see if it's really feasible to have a totally emission-free society. They reckon this is now the most advanced fuel cell in the world and the sort of car that we could all be driving in 10 years' time. But what's it actually like?
This is the sum total of thousands of hours of brain power of Honda's R&D. It's worth millions of pounds, and they've given me the key, which is deceptively normal. Let's find out what the future drive's like. Normal, put in the key and turn it on, and nothing. Oh, it says system check. Got some pretty lights. There's a bit of whirring, not... Okay, it says ready to drive. So, put on the brake, put it into drive, and I guess we just press the throttle. Oh, and away we go, it works! And it's very quiet. Okay, so we're underway now, and I've got to say, this thing is pretty nippy. You know, you just prod the accelerator like this, and you're away. No hesitation, no sense of kind of waiting for a chemical reaction to take place. It just goes. It's got about 100 horsepower, a 240 mile range, and it'll do about 100 miles an hour. But one thing they haven't got for it is a 0 to 60 time. Yet. Okay, clear. Here we go. FCX, totally unofficial, non-scientific test. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, 20, 30. That's 40 miles an hour. Starting to slow down slightly now. 50, 55. That's 60. Okay, so what does the stopwatch make that? Okay, that's about 13 seconds. Oh, actually, yes, that's a little piece of history because we've just breached the speed limit, and that's the first speeding ticket for a fuel cell vehicle, potentially. For a car that effectively runs on clouds, this is great. This is perfectly adequate for going from A to B. It's quiet, it's comfortable, and it does everything like it should. And this is the crucial point. This is the first time I've ever gone from A to B without even harming a fly.
Inside, you just hear a sort of muted turbine whine, like you used to get on the Jetsons. And outside, you just hear the noise of tyres on tarmac. Certainly not enough to bother the monkeys.
All the time I'm driving, I've got that one tiny nagging doubt. With all that hydrogen stowed under my seat, I feel like I'm sitting on top of the Hindenburg.
In fact, the FCX has been properly crash tested, ensuring that the people inside and the hydrogen tank in the back aren't going to blow up. It seems fuel cells are the future, and to find out more about the plans for hydrogen, I was told to visit a wise man.
Okay, so the 水素の保護の注意道はありますか?
The president of Yakushima's electricity board, Hiroshi Ishii, is a kind of benevolent version of Dr. No. He's getting very excited by the prospect of his empire providing so much useful fuel, as I found out.
So he's basically saying that it can produce hydrogen to power cars, buses, and get this, even rockets to go up into space. You did say that, didn't you? That means yes.
Yes, he really did mean emission-free space rockets. Of course, not everywhere in the world is blessed like Yakushima with an excess of rainfall to create hydrogen cleanly. So there are plans afoot to build home energy stations which create hydrogen using solar power. Then you just fill up your fuel cell vehicle in your garage.
The whole experiment with fuel cells on Yakushima Island has proved that the technology works. Hydrogen as a fuel is within our grasp. It's not just boffins daydreaming, it's real. And I know, because I've driven it.